What's up everyone? John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here with a full review for you of the successor to what was arguably one of the flagship Windows phones. This is the HTC Titan II. We've been putting this guy through a battery of tests. Let's go ahead and dig in and see if it's worthwhile to grace your pocket for the next 2 years. So first announced at CES 2012, the Titan II is coming in at $199.99 with the obligatory 2-year contract. It is running Windows Phone Mango 7.5, that's the second release, meaning it's got LTE on board. So in full disclosure, this is the second HTC Titan II that we've had. The first one had some trouble connecting to LTE and experienced more dropped calls than really any other AT&T phone that I've tested over the previous 6 months. The second unit, however, didn't have any such issues. It was able to connect to LTE right away. We haven't had any abnormal drop calls. So whether or not it was unique to our first unit, we're going to give HTC the benefit of the doubt. Let's go ahead and talk about what makes this phone unique from the Titan I. The first, obviously, being LTE. It's here, and we'll talk about that a bit more in the full review. The second, though, is that 16 megapixel camera on the back. Pictures look very sharp in normal light, below average in low light. But what HTC has done, you've given you really awesome manual controls. You've got face detection, you've got smile capturing, white balance that you can set to auto, which I always prefer. Burst is really solid as well. So it does only take 720p video, 1080p is not supported. The video quality was just about average for a smartphone. Despite that really nice sensor, video was about what you'd expect and is on par with most other mid to high range smartphones right now. If you're looking for a phone that shoots great pictures, this is really going to fit that bill quite nicely. It is typical HTC build quality. It feels really nice and solid in the hand. From a dimension standpoint, we're looking at 5.2 inches by 2.7 inches by a very thin 0.4 inches. From a weight standpoint, it is 5.2 ounces. It's just the right weight without feeling overly heavy, letting you know that you're using a high quality device. HTC has amongst the best build quality industry, and the Titan II is really no exception there. As opposed to the Titan I, we now have a soft touch back as opposed to the metal that we saw on the first version. We've got a non-removable battery now. It's been upped to 1,730 milliamp hours. The SIM door now is part of the antenna system. So this guy right here, if you go ahead and open this up, all that's part of the antenna, meaning that when you pull this out, the phone is going to turn itself off and reboot when you plug it back in. So I don't think you can swap SIM cards without turning your device off. Chipset, not much has changed. A Qualcomm 1.5 gigahertz Snapdragon S2 single core. Windows Phone currently doesn't support double core, but we do have a 1.5 gigahertz clock speed. So we've got now a pretty standard 512 megs of RAM. Internal storage is a non-expandable 16 gigs. We're not gonna talk that much about Windows Phone 7.5 Mango. We talked about it quite a bit, but you do get a typical Windows Phone experience here. Nice part about the Titan II, you're getting a big Windows Phone experience. The screen, and this guy is pretty much all screen, is a 4.7 inch WVGA resolution Super LCD display. So for those of you keeping track at home, that means it's got a 480 by 800 resolution, which right now is the maximum resolution that Windows Phone allows. And for you math whizzes, that's 199 ppi. So the live tiles look huge. The messaging little smiley guy looks like he is smiling right at you. Internet Explorer is a giant E. Things just look supersized. So for the generation that likes an extra value meal and things a little bit bigger, this is going to be a great choice. I love the original Titan I for that reason. I liked the size. My eyesight's not the best, and things were huge, and the low resolution made things even gianter. It looks great. Tiles are bright and vibrant. Pictures appear to be nice, but when you start digging in, you start looking at text, it's really where you see a difference. I can equate this to going to a big box store and looking at televisions. You've got two next to each other, a couple $1,000s difference. You're going to notice a huge difference in picture. However, once you get that lesser model home and on your wall, it can look pretty decent. You're going to forget about the higher resolution model. The same thing is here too. While using this phone as my daily driver, I didn't mind the resolution. But when I picked up another phone that I was testing or compared it to the HTC One X or the iPhone 4S screen, you definitely notice a lower resolution. Viewing text here is fine, but when you zoom in, you can definitely see a little bit of pixelation. This is probably, though, one of the better resolution looking displays that I've seen, and that includes the Lumia 900. If you want the Windows Phone experience, you gotta live within those resolution limitations. The screen on the Titan II does look quite nice. Pictures look pretty good on here as well, despite that low resolution, and video as well looks very nice. So you're gonna get a relatively decent text, picture, and video experience from the HTC Titan II. HTC has a few tweaks to the phone, which have arguably improved experience. Can't really do much to the Windows Phone. Nokia is the only manufacturer that has the right to sort of change the UI. HTC has sort of lived within those limitations. So what they've done is created the HTC Hub. And the HTC Hub is going to look very Sense UI-ish if you're familiar with it on Android. There are several HTC applications as well, though, which are going to give you improved functionality, and you can only download them if you're using an HTC phone. Lte speeds were pretty reasonable to what I've seen on other AT&T LTE devices. Certainly it's going to vary depending on where you're located. But speeds that I was getting were about 5.8-ish down and 1.4 up. And again, that's just in Southern California where you are. Your speeds are going to vary. So running a test here live on camera, and I'm getting almost exactly the same speeds that I just mentioned. Battery life has been much improved actually over the original Titan I. I'm able to get 7.5 to 8 hours of talk time. When I call a radio station on full charge and leave it on hold until it dies, it was just shy of 8 hours. Using the phone as my daily driver pretty regularly, so with 2 emails being checked, an hour or 2 phone calls, some text going through, and some pretty decent web browsing and video views, by the end of the day, it's able to get about 20 to 25% battery remaining. It's taking it off the charger about 7:30 in the morning and plugging it in around 11 o'clock at night. So you'll definitely get a full day usage out of the HTC Titan II despite its large screen and LTE. Battery life is still staying pretty solid. I like this big screen. I love big screen phones. I love the Galaxy Note. I love the Titan I, and I love the Titan II. It's a big benefit to me, but it might not be a big benefit to you, so it's something you're going to want to try the phone, see if you can live with a phone of the screen size. I really like HTC's industrial design. I can appreciate the work that went into it. I like the intuitive UI as well. I'm a big fan of Windows Phone 7. I think the live tile interface is really well done. And the camera also was pleasant surprise. That 60 megapixel sensor with HTC tweaks really did a nice job and took some pretty impressive pictures. All right, so what do I dislike about the phone? It's got a relatively weak antenna. With other devices, when I was getting 5 bars of LTE, this one generally held on to 4 or oftentimes 3. At $199.99, it's tough to recommend this phone over the $99.99 Lumia 900, which for a short period of time has $100 of rebates coming with that on top of it. The Lumia 900 represents a really nice package of design and price. The Titan II, if they were the same price, it'd probably be a toss-up. But when you put these two next to each other, it's hard to justify spending the extra $100 for the Titan II. And this is something that I keep lamenting on in my Windows Phone reviews. Why can't I charge this device while it's powered off? I find it to be extremely annoying. I know I can turn it on airplane mode or change profile settings, but it's just a huge irritation for me that I can't turn my phone off at night and charge it. I do wish that we would have a user replaceable battery. For me, it hasn't mattered, but I know a lot of you guys like to carry extra batteries with you if you charge. So that's something you're going to want to consider based on personal usage. I do wish memory was expandable as well. We're stuck with 16 gigs, and I can find any place to put your micro SD card. And certainly the last knock on this phone and Windows Phone as a whole is the resolution. 480 by 800 just doesn't cut it anymore, especially when you're looking at HD displays by competitors. So let's give this phone a score. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with our new phone scoring system. A 5 is a perfectly usable and feasible phone with no real glaring flaws. A 10 is something that's being reserved for phones that are absolutely incredible. So very few devices or tablets should ever get that score. This gets a pretty solid 6. It's a great phone. There's nothing particularly wrong with it. It works well. It works well with Windows Phone 7.5, but it's hard to recommend because of the price, especially when the Lumia 900 sitting right next to it offers almost exactly the same feature set for a lower price point. So do you guys agree or disagree with the review of the HTC Titan II? Is it the next phone to grace your pocket? Love to hear your thoughts and opinions. I'm John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo. Be sure to check us out for the latest tech news, opinions, reviews, and unboxings. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.